Happy Monday, Inspire Beauty. I'm super pumped to be here with you guys tonight. Check out the chat if you just popped on. The question that I put in the chat for Monday today is tell us what you're doing this week to finish June strong. Yeah, what are you doing this week to finish June strong? Last week I checked in and a lot of people were telling me, oh, my focus is my free group. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm going to give you a gentle nudge. If you aren't at your goals for how many people you're helping this month, if you aren't at your goals for rank, if you aren't at your goals for the income producing business side of things, I'm going to gently nudge you that the free groups go to the wayside on weeks like this, and we just push till the final bell. So I'm super pumped to see you guys finish this month strong. So many of you guys are right on the edge of Success Club right now. So keep going. The momentum too that you build up when you finish months pushing like this just trickles over into the following month. So no matter what, even if you are at your goals, finish June strong because it pushes us into a a really great startup for July. Speaking of great startups for July, sample workout for 6:45 launched today. Make sure you're leveraging that and that you're talking to people, giving the sample workout any chance you can get to someone, get it in their hands, and just like a broken record, be inviting people to try out this sample workout to dive in with you in July. Okay, a week from tomorrow is when that will launch for coaches. So you can get your hands on that pack tomorrow. I know so many of you guys were getting your cookies and creamy when that launches too. So make sure that you're doing that. And then I think that is about it with announcements. We are 2 weeks out from Coach Summit Week. I'm so excited for all of that to go down the pipeline. And today we went freaking public. So it's just been like such an exciting day and my head is kind of just racing. But I'm going to leave you with those announcements for now. Oh, tomorrow, by the way, we are finishing June strong together with a guided action hour. It'll be heavy on the follow-ups, heavy on the invites. So make sure that if you aren't at your goals, especially, or if you really want momentum going into the top of July, that you pop on with us tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central. Okay, tonight, you guys, we have a treat. We have a guest speaker. If you were a part of our Diamond Push group last August, you might recognize this beautiful queen. Larissa is, she's coined with the, she just told me that she has coined nickname Last Minute Larissa, and I love it. I stinking love it. But one thing that's so special, you guys, is her accolades. So I told you on the team page that she is, she's been coaching for 6 years, right? 28 years old, mama of 2, wifey, right? All the things. But that one of the things is that she was stuck in her business. But when I look at her accolades, a lifetime 6-star lifetime coach in her first business center. Her second business center is a 1-star coach. Her husband's business center, the spouse controlled business center, is 1-star as well. Has been a premier coach with Beachbody, finished last year as an elite coach with Beachbody, and has hit Success Club for 60, that's a 6 and a 0, 60 months in a row. And so when I hear from a coach like Larissa that she was stuck, like just sat kind of stuck at a rank for a long time, maybe longer than she should have when she looks back on it. But then I see that kind of stuff. All that tells me is that there was just a choice to level up and be a freaking leader of her own legacy in this business. And so I'm just really pumped for you guys to get to hear from her tonight. So I'm going to mute myself, Larissa. I'm going to let you take it away, sister.
Yay, thank you, Brittany. Can you guys hear me okay? I have an AC wall unit in here. We're good? Okay, I just want to make sure it's like really loud in here. So as long as you can hear me. So thank you, Brittany. You guys, I am so freaking pumped to be here. The reason I told Brittany I'm nicknamed Last Minute Larissa is because literally it was like 30 minutes ago that I was like, all right, what am I going to say tonight? And I like pulled up a Canva template and I like put together all these things and stuff, but it made me just like so freaking excited. It made me so excited about what I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight and give you some tips, maybe a little bit of tough love. I love to hear as we go through this call, like if something resonates with you or if something hits home or if you have a question, please pop it in the chat. Like the more that is happening in the chat, like it fires me up. I love it. So please let me know. So before I get into kind of our topic of getting unstuck, and my tips and things that have helped me, that I really think can help you, I figured I'd share a little bit about my story, right? So Brittany said I've been coaching for 6 years, which is true. I signed up in the last week of February in 2015. And the reason it was the last week is because it was a sale month, which ironically enough, the challenge packs were the same price they are right now, but I got one stinking DVD of 21 Day Fix Extreme. That's why I'm like obsessed with sale months, because I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like, I paid the same price 5 or 6 years ago and I got one DVD and I had to do 21 Day Fix Extreme for like 7 months in a row. Like, this is a steal. And I signed up strictly actually because of Shakeology. I wanted nothing to do with fitness. I wanted nothing to do with those dang containers. I wanted nothing to do with coaching, like not even a little bit. It was my coworker who was a coach. So back in 2015, I had just had my first daughter. She had just turned 1. And a few months before, in January of that year, my husband was deployed. He got deployed for the first time. I was 21 at this point, and it was my first time being on my own, first time like raising a kid by myself. And she's 1, like that's when they become like humans, you know. First time living by myself. I was working full time as a server and a bartender. I actually posted a little bit about it yesterday. If you see on my social media, I actually dropped out of high school when I was 16 and got my GED and went to cosmetology school. See, it turned off. Now I'm yelling. Graduated from cosmetology school when I was 18. Like, I've always been pretty driven, and I've always been a really, really hard worker. I went and got my first job, like literally the day I turned 16. I've always worked 2 to 3 jobs at a time. I worked 2 jobs throughout my whole pregnancy, serving and bartending and working at the salon. And at one point there was 3 jobs at one time, working at a retail store too. So I've always been a really, really hard worker. And at this point in my life, I was just working at the bar, and my husband was deployed, so I was working crazy, crazy hours. And my dang coworker was like bebopping. I was really negative, by the way, you guys, if you don't get that from the story in a minute. She's like bebopping around the restaurant, like all high energy, like work, have a good day. And I'm like, God, you're annoying. I'm like, stop, like, just stop. Like, I'm comfortable being miserable. Like, I just want to complain about my shift and complain about my tables and talk to the people who are also complaining, because that was comfortable for me. And she actually had messaged me on Facebook. It's actually exactly like me, because I'm much less likely to talk to somebody in person about stuff than I am on Instagram or Facebook. I'm very, very introverted. And she had invited me to her challenge group, and I was like, absolutely not. I was still breastfeeding my daughter. I was actually pretty underweight. I actually have always been underweight or skinny. That does not mean healthy by any means. I ate like garbage my entire life. And I was kind of offended that she invited me, but I always saw her posting about this like superfood shake. So she told me the price Shakeology. I laughed in her face and I said, hell no. And I went and I Googled on the ingredients to Shakeology, and I was like, oh, this like actually does something for your body. Okay. Like, so maybe this is better than me hitting up Wendy's every day on my way to work and like pounding 3 Red Bulls on my doubles. Like, maybe if I get something like that in my body, I'll feel better. And my turning point, because I was thinking about it for a while, you know, again, I told her, heck no. I was probably that god awful person who you feel like crap for inviting, right? And like, it makes you feel like a gross hey girl person or something. I was probably that person because of how no I was. But behind the scenes, I was thinking about it. I made fun of her, you guys. She would come over for a girls' night and be like, are you gonna bring skinny girl margaritas and a salad because I'm getting pizza? Like, I was the worst. So don't let those people bring you down, because you never know. They're just not happy. So anyway, I had looked all of that stuff up, and my turning point was one day I was home with my daughter, because I would be home mostly in the day, and I would leave for work around like 3 o'clock, and I would be gone to like 2 o'clock in the morning. And she was upstairs napping in her crib, and I was sitting on the couch downstairs. And I heard her crying on the baby monitor, and I turned the baby monitor off because I was going to go up and get her, and I heard her crying upstairs. And I sat on my couch for about 20 more minutes listening to her cry, because I didn't want to walk up the stairs to go get her, because every single time I walked up those dang stairs, I was exhausted, like heart beating out of my chest, like legs hurt. Like, you know how you're standing at the top of the stairs for a minute and your like legs are like pulsating because you feel like you just died? That was me. And I was 21. I weighed like 115 pounds, not in shape, but I'm just saying, like, I was like a small person, and that's how I felt. And that was my turning point of like, oh my gosh, like the way I'm lack thereof taking care of myself is now affecting my daughter, like in a way that like I'm all she has right now. And if me treating myself like garbage is affecting her, like this has to change. So I bought a challenge pack because I like a good deal and it was $10 more. I had kind of jumped into the challenge group. I never posted anything, but I got the DVDs, so I needed to fill time because again, I was bored because my husband was gone. So I started doing them. Like lo and behold, guys, I felt better. I signed up as a discount coach strictly for the discount because I was like, if I'm gonna invest in this stuff, I'm gonna keep doing it, like the Shakeology, right? So that was why. And I could talk for hours about my story because it's a lot of like ups and downs, but a little fast forward is it really gave me something to focus on that wasn't how miserable I was feeling. I struggled really hard having people in the same season of life as me. So I really struggled making connections. So I was really comfortable as my introverted self, right? Because it's easier. It's easier when you have a guard up all the time, right? And that was me. And I had struggled finding people in my season of life because again, I was a 21-year-old mom. All my friends were like just starting college. Or they were like working at the bar with me and they didn't have kids yet and they're like going out and partying every night, right? Like I just struggled making those connections and I didn't even know what I was missing. So it was really nice to be able to talk to people who were one, driven, because like working in the restaurant biz, you know, you don't find that many driven people. And that was deep inside of me. I just wasn't showing it because, you know, you adapt to your surroundings. So it was nice to like be around like these like driven women. And I'm like, okay. And then like people who are positive and love community and stuff like that. And I dabbled for a while in my first year. I was a discount coach, but then like, I remember I would just had like an idea to run like a 21-day fix sneak peek. And it's really funny because this is before sneak peeks were like even a thing. Like my superstar upline made me host a team call. I was a discount coach for like 2 months. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna SHIT my pants. And this is before we even had Zoom. Like you call in and there's just like talk on a random line and like people are listening. And that's kind of what I did in the beginning too, because it was nice because nobody knew I was listening to team calls. Old school, yeah. Nobody knew I was listening to team calls because you could just like secretly call in and listen to stuff. And like those seeds were being planted. So I hosted like a 21-day fix sneak peek where I basically just ran our group and showed people like what this was like because I started eating more than I'd ever eaten in my life and seeing results and gaining muscle. And I was like a whole new person. It was great. But anyway, I hit like Success Club 12, like I think like my 3rd month as a coach. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like the best coach in the world. Like, what are these double digits? Like, this is okay. This is amazing. I'm like, I like this. This is fun. I was, you know, getting income. Back like that extra $100, $150 getting deposited into our bank account was huge, you know. It was huge then, and it was awesome. So I signed up my husband, didn't even tell him. And I think that when he came home, he was always pretty kind of skeptical. He was always supportive, but supportive in a way that your husband supports your hobbies, right? So again, fast forward a lot. I dabbled, I loved it. And it wasn't until I got pregnant with my second daughter, right after my husband came home, like literally he walked in the door and we were basically pregnant with my second daughter. And I thought about it and I thought about when I had my first daughter. And like I said, I worked 2 jobs my whole pregnancy. Back then I had student loans, car payments, bills, obviously, right? And I was working a lot and I was always putting extra money to the side so I could hopefully go back to work later, right? So I could hopefully get ahead of my bills. And we live in this great country where we get awesome maternity leave, right? So it's a joke. Obviously, like we don't get maternity leave here really paid, especially when you're a bartender or retail worker working a salon. So I was trying to save up enough money where I could at least have like a little bit of nest egg and still get my bills paid. And so I saved up money working 2 jobs my whole pregnancy. It ended up being about $750 and it lasted me 3.5 weeks postpartum. So I went back to work full time after my first baby, breastfeeding, basically still wearing the diaper, at 4 weeks serving tables. And I went back full time at a 9-to-5 job when she was 7 weeks old and she had to go to daycare. She would leave with my husband at 6 o'clock in the morning and then she would come home and I would get home at 6 o'clock at night. So for 12 hours, I wasn't seeing my like 3-month-old baby. And I just remember crying in the office, breast pump or pumping, looking at pictures of her to try to get the milk to come out more because I was struggling with supply too. So I thought about that when I got pregnant again. Yeah, we weren't technically at that spot again because we were in this place where I was staying home during the day and then he would come home and I would leave for work. It kind of worked, right? Because I had more time with her. but also I just spent 7.5 months away from my husband, and I don't want to work those opposite shifts anymore. I don't want to work all the nights and all the weekends and stuff like that. Like, I want us to be together as a family. So that was when I really started diving into coaching more. That's when I really decided and drew that line in the sand that this is what I'm going to do. And that was the very end of 2015, right after I hit diamond, like kind of on accident, to be completely honest. And that was when I really started to work this business. Now, what Brittany was talking about is I hit diamond at the end of my first year. Again, it was kind of an accident. I was in a diamond push, found out I was close to the cash pot goal, and I'm really driven for goals. So I was like, oh, I want a piece of that cash pot. So I hit diamond, but I didn't hit diamond because I wanted to build a business. I hit diamond because I wanted to get the cash pot, and that was it. And so I had actually, I think, lost diamond at some point when I was very freshly pregnant. Oh, thank you, Annie. When I was very freshly pregnant, I lost diamond. But to be completely honest, you guys, looking back at that time in my life when I was pregnant, and like, I was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant now. I'm going to meet all these people, like, whoo, like line up. Like, I'm going to make all these connections. Like, you guys are going to be my team. You guys are going to be my team. Fast forward. Also, my kid's almost 5. I'm still signing up people for my pregnancy to this day. So I was just really driven. But looking back, I don't remember that I lost my diamond. Like, I had the mindset that I was like going to be the best coach in the world, that I was going to build this business, like quit my job. I'd set a goal to quit my job by the month that my daughter was born, so I wouldn't have to go back to work. And I had the mindset of that. Like, I wasn't focusing on the rank that I was at and stuff like that. So fast forward, worked my business, leaned in throughout my pregnancy. I actually got my diamond back 2 weeks after she was born. And then I didn't quit my job in July, which is when she was born, but I was able to quit it that October. So in that same year. And like, you guys, looking back, yeah, it wasn't my goal date, but like, who the F cares? Like, looking back, it happened, right? The goal date is meant to drive urgency. And if that goal date comes and goes, you do not give up, okay? So I had hit diamond in July of 2016 when my daughter was born. And then I sat there for 3 years. 3 years I sat at diamond, and it was a lot of things. It was a lot of reasons why, I think, like, and it was not lack there of trying. In my 6 years as a coach, I have never taken a step back. I've never said this wasn't for me. I have never ghosted. I have never thought about quitting. Well, okay, that's not true. I've thought about quitting, but not in like a real thought about quitting way, and just like you've ever seen that gif of that guy just like throwing the papers all over his desk, and like that kind of thought about quitting. Like, it's crossed my mind, but never in like a reality way. So it wasn't that. It wasn't lack there of trying. I've hit Success Club for 60 months in a row, which I actually think might be July 2016. Like, it might have been since around then. So I never stopped. But there are some things that I want to share with you guys when it comes to feeling stuff like that, because all those thoughts, like, if you're anybody who's ever been stuck in your business, whether that is struggling to hit Success Club for the first time, whether that is like missing Success Club after a streak of Success Club, maybe you've sat at Emerald for a really long time, maybe you've sat halfway to Emerald, maybe you've sat at Diamond for a long time, maybe you keep going like this, whatever it is in your business, right? Like, if you've ever felt stuck, if you want to put in the chat, if you've ever felt stuck in this business, you're not alone. And to this day, I still have seasons and moments where I'm stuck in this business, right? It doesn't go away, but you learn as you go. So I'm going to share with you guys some of my tips when it comes to, I was reflecting a lot today. I was reflecting a lot in that season of life where I was stuck at Diamond for 3 years, and I didn't really grow on paper. I didn't really grow on rank, and all those thoughts that you might have had anytime you're feeling stuck of maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I suck, or I'm doing all the things, but it's not working, or like, you're questioning your self-worth, or you're comparing yourself to people, all that kind of stuff. All of those things have crossed my mind. All of those things have gone through my head. So you're not alone with those feelings, okay? So let's, so I actually didn't even rank advance. I'm gonna share my screen. Can I share my screen, Brittany? Do I have that capability? Yeah, good, okay. I'll let you know if it doesn't work. So my first diamond was my husband, and that was in mid 2018. I dropped on week 5 of 6 because I didn't realize he only had 90 PV. Like, guys, I'm talking like I went to bed and I'm like, I'm gonna wake up a 1-star coach. Like, I'm going to NLC. It's happening. I went to bed, woke up, and he was a Ruby because I didn't notice he had 90 PV. lesson learned, diamonds need 100 PV. I cried and I cried and I cried because I felt like I was building this business by myself. And it's so funny because we actually, we dropped out of a qualification 2 weeks ago. And I was like walking around our house, I'm like, it happens. And I thought back to when I went to ONSTUCK, and I was like, I cried all day long. Like, and now I'm like totally fine with it because you gain that tough skin, you know, and you realize that little things like that aren't the end of the world and it's only up from here, you know? So anyway, so I ended up getting his diamond back last minute Larissa style, last 6 weeks of the year in 2018. It was his 6-week qualification. So he was my first diamond. So I got myself to 1-star and that's how I went to NLC. And then we went 2-star and 3-star in 2019. And then in 2020, we went from 3-star and then in 3 consecutive weeks, 4, 5, and 6-star. And then the next week, both my other CBCs went into 1-star qualification. And our rank as a team has gone up and down. Like, for example, we were just in 5-star again last week, but it was with 3 different diamonds that weren't a part of that first 5-star. Does that make sense? Right? So like growth is growth and it's just all over the place, right? So back to just to kind of give you guys like a trajectory of things. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Can you see that? Yeah. All right, let's present up in here. And then let me just make sure I can get up. I want to get up the chat just in case so I can see it. So when I was making this morning or today, like an hour ago, I was like, I'm going to put a couple of pictures of just the progress of our team. So this first picture right here, that's my baby girl, Ellie. That was in 2016, July. These are all technically Summit pictures, except the last 2 because Summit hasn't been a thing. So that first one was technically Summit of 2016, but I obviously just gave birth, so I couldn't go. But it was basically just me. Like I had just gotten my diamond back, and let's be real, a lot of the time diamond is mostly discount coaches. So my team was basically just me. That next year was 2017. That was my whole team there at Summit. And guys, I was over the freaking moon. Next year, that was my team at Summit. We're growing, right? We're growing. And then 2019, and then those last 2 photos are 2020, and then February of this year at my team, at my first 2 team retreats that I held for our team. So I think it's just always fun to kind of see the progression and the growth of what's possible, because in those first couple of years, that was the vision, right? Is like I said, you guys, I was feeling alone, right? I felt like I was building this business alone. So just to kind of paint that vision of what's possible. Okay, so let's talk about getting unstuck. I have a couple tips, and then I'm going to kind of go into them a little bit, okay? So number 1, and it's a lot of mindset, you guys, because honestly, that's what it is. It's mostly mindset. And that's probably, if anybody's like type A or a checklist person, that's probably the most annoying thing in the world. But there's a reason that you hear so much about mindset. And number 1, it's, do you believe that you're going places, or are you just showing up and hoping it will happen? Your belief factor in yourself, in the team you are building, in where you are going, and the goals you are going after is number 1 always. I actually read a thread in the roundtable, and the roundtable is a group that you get added to when you hit 5-star. So it's all 5-star and above coaches. And somebody had asked, like, for coaches who have hit 15-star, what do you feel like was one of the things that helped you lead your team to get there? And the most common answer was belief. It was so many coaches saying, like, for a while I was going after it, but in the back of my head, I didn't actually believe that I could make it happen. And it was once I decided and put that belief into myself that I could make it happen, is when I started attracting the coaches and building the team and growing the coaches that could make that happen, because they started believing in themselves. So that's number 1, is belief. Okay, don't give yourself a cop out, whatever your vision is. Okay, there's nothing wrong with whatever your vision is. Over my 6 years in this business, and I'm sure Brittany can say the same, is like your vision or your goal or your why changes all the time. My very first why in this business was to be able to help pay for my daughter's, we were planning her 4th birthday to go to Disney World for the first time. And this is like 2 years ahead of time. Remember, she was 1 when I signed up. So she was like 2. We were planning her 4th birthday at Disney. And my biggest why at that time was just to be able to help alleviate the financial stress, because I always keep a calculator in my head of how much we're spending so we don't go into like stressful financial times, right? And like a freaking churro is $18. So I was like, I just want to be able to give her the best birthday experience and be fully present and enjoy that without having a mental calculator about how we're going to go home and like be completely broke. That was my biggest why in the business. And then it, transformed into a bigger why. and it transformed into me leaving my job, and it transformed into bringing my husband home and all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's okay if you don't have that big, huge why yet, or that big, huge vision. What is yours right now? But it has to be important to you. It has to drive you, and you have to actually believe that you're going to make it happen. Okay, that's number one. Okay, so number two, and this is a big one, show up and work the business and life you desire before you actually have it. Okay, how many times, and I want you guys to be honest, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat, have you ever felt like, well, once I hit that goal, I'll show up differently. Once I'm a diamond, God, I'm gonna be such a different coach once I'm a diamond. Once I'm a 2-star diamond coach, whoo, watch out. Once I'm making this amount of money, I'm gonna know more about what I'm doing, right? Like you're just like waiting until it happens. And yeah, you're showing up, you're doing the things, but we feel like, you know, once we get there, it's just gonna be different, right? Like you're gonna gain maybe more confidence because you're a diamond coach or a 2-star or a 5-star, an elite coach, whatever that is, right? But here's the secret, is that's not how it works. How you get there is by acting, and not acting, like not faking it, but I'm saying like treating your business like it's already there, right? Treating your business like it's already there. Work the business you want before you actually have it, and you'll create it. Because the longer we wait, it's not gonna happen. And regardless of results, okay? That's one thing I really wanna say. Remember how I told you, guys, I wanna hear a really funny story. When I was pregnant, remember I told you my confidence level of my coach abilities and the business I was going to build and where I was freaking going, that I don't even remember that I was an Emerald coach. So I was in a pregnancy group, and like, you know how you can like know when there's another coach in a group, you know, like you can see it. So this is back in 2016, and I saw this other coach like kind of posting the way I was posting, building relationships and stuff like that. Like we weren't posting our Beachbody, but we were present, we were building relationships, we were sharing about our workouts, stuff like that. And I go and I'm like, who's this Holly Hilliard chick? I'm like, no. And I go to her profile and it says like 3-star premier coach, because keep in mind, this is 2016. She had only been a coach for like a year. And I'm like, who's this Holly Hilliard chick? Like 3-star premier, psh, girl, I'll be there soon. Like whatever, like nothing off my back. And I was like, these are my people, I got this. Like that was like my mindset. And then like, imagine my surprise when like the next year she was literally in the top 10. I was like, oh shit, okay. All right. Come to find out, I did not work nearly as hard as Holly Hilliard did back then, and that's okay. But you have to show up for that business before you have it. So I want you to picture yourself. What is the best coach version of you? What is the best leader version of you? Even if you have 0 coaches on your team, 0 coaches, I don't care. What is that version of you that leads that team that you want to build, right? I did a team live video one time when I was at NLC all about vision. And I went on there and I talked about the vision I had for our team. And I was very, very specific about the team culture I wanted to build, the team I wanted, just my vision of what I wanted us to create. And all of those things I said, we didn't have then. We didn't have it. And it kind of sucked. And I was like really upset, right? And I was always focused on what wasn't happening. But I was like, screw this. Like, I'm going to focus on what I want to build and what I want this team culture to be like. And it's so funny because if you go back and watch that video now, all those things I said in 2019, we have now as a team. Most of the girls who were on our team then aren't on our team now. And then like we brought in those kind of people who added to that vision. So this is the big one. And then second, see, you guys like my little adult note down here so I can remember to tell you this analogy. So an analogy, I actually shared it with one of my coaches today. That feeling we have, right, of when I'm a diamond, when I'm a 2-star, when I'm an elite coach, like it's going to be so much easier, or I'm going to gain all the knowledge, or by the time I'm there, I'm going to be so much more confident. By the time I'm there, I'm not going to be afraid of invites. By the time I'm there, I'm not going to be afraid to go live or speak on a team call, right? Because I'll be a freaking 2-star coach. That's like saying when we're a kid, like, man, this is all really hard right now, but when I'm an adult, it's all gonna make so much more sense. You know, like, you know, the Olaf song in Frozen 2, for anybody who's seen it, where he's like, when I'm older, this all makes sense. Like, I'm gonna have it all figured out, because we don't turn 18 and like gain all the knowledge. We don't turn 18 and know how to do our dang taxes. You know, like you have to learn those things and you have to adapt and grow. And that's exactly how it is in this business. So don't get yourself stuck in that trap of when I'm there, it'll be easier, because then you're just going to be like an adult who is 30, who never learned how to do any of the things because you figured it was just part of being an adult and you got like a handbook or something. You know, the business is the same way. Okay. So action over outcome, action over outcome. This is something I tell my team all the time. And I think I saw a couple girls on my team on here. This is something I say all the time because your action matters so much more than the outcome. And the reason I say that is because if we're only focused on the outcome, or if we're only focused on the results, then that's a surefire way to feel discouraged, get pissed, feel like all the work you're doing is for nothing, right? Like if I would have been focused when I was pregnant, trying to like build this business, to quit my job, if I would have focused that I didn't rank advanced past Emerald my whole pregnancy, which still cracks me up to this day, knowing who I am right now, that I didn't even think about that. Like it just cracks me up. I'm not that way now, but I was back then apparently. But I was just focused on the action, right? Focused on the next step ahead. Like where am I going? What am I doing? So focus on the actions that you're taking over the outcome. I had a girl message me yesterday, talking about, God, what's the program called? 645. And it's her first challenge. And she's like, do you think in these 13 weeks I can get abs? She's like, I've never done a challenge before. Like, do you think I can get abs? Here's my before picture. I'm like, girl, I'm like, I truly believe it's gonna happen for you. I'm like, but it's really hard for me to answer that question. I'm like, because everybody's bodies are different. You've never done a challenge before, so we don't know how your body's gonna respond. A lot of it has to do with nutrition, like all these kinds of things, right? And like, so what I want you to do is focus on action goals over outcome goals. So it's the same in fitness, you guys. I'm like, I want you to set a goal, like establishing a morning routine, sticking to the calendar and doing every single workout, right? Watching the nutrition videos. I'm like, those are all action-based goals that you're in control of and you can celebrate. And I'm like, and if you do those things, you're on your way to that outcome. But if she just focuses on getting abs, how likely is she gonna be to get there? And then the more it's not happening, the more frustrated she's gonna get and she's gonna quit. It's the same in this business, you guys. That's why we have a Success Club tracker. That's why we have action. That's why we have this Take Action Challenge, because it's all about the action over the outcome. So 3, this is a big one. Your personal growth and PD is not an option, it's a necessity. Not an option. This is actually one of the biggest things that shifted in my team, myself and my downline in 2020 was personal development. We all kind of did it. And myself too, I would do a PD or a podcast to check the box, right? I would get on the National Wake Up Call to check the box. I would listen and all that kinds of stuff. But it wasn't until 2020 that I actually finished a physical book. So 5 years into being a coach that I finished a physical book. And again, my PD was really like more pump up podcast kind of stuff, not like deep dive on stuff that I really needed to grow in, right? Like leadership or fears or, you know, things like that, right? It's non-negotiable. I still to this day have coaches who have been on my team for years, and that's the one thing they struggle with. And that's why they're not going anywhere. And anytime I ask, how's your PD? It's never solid, because anytime the answer is my PD is great, they're not coming to me because they're struggling, right? Like it's just, you've probably heard it 1,000 times, but it's so important. I can't even tell you. If you can, start getting your challengers to do personal development before they become coaches, because that's what will change your life. It's everything. Okay. So this is a big one too, is if you're feeling stuck in your business, where are you actually stuck? Honestly. So we can focus on the outcome, right? Maybe it's a rank, maybe you're stuck at Emerald, maybe you're stuck at Diamond. Or is that where you're just telling yourself you're stuck, but where you're actually stuck is your consistency? Or are you actually stuck because you're afraid to send invites? Are you actually stuck because you're not actually finishing a fitness program so you don't have anything to talk about? Are you actually stuck because, you know, like it can actually be something different? So it's first giving it a name, calling it out, you guys. I even got a book last year. Where is it? Oh, it's not here anymore. Called Stop Self-Sabotage, because that was one of my biggest things. And it actually kind of helped me discover where I was feeling stuck. But I put down there, hint, PD helps here. That's why it's so important, is because it helps you kind of figure out where you're stuck and give it a name. And then if you know where you're stuck, guess what? That actually gives you a roadmap to what you can work on. You're not stuck because you suck. You're just stuck because you haven't worked through it yet. That's it. Maybe you're refusing to grow. Maybe you're refusing to tackle that area. And you know what? That's natural. And that's why a lot of people aren't successful, is because they just stay behind that wall of feeling stuck, or they use feeling stuck as an excuse, saying that, they aren't good enough for it or something like that. When in reality, if we just kind of dissect a little bit, like where you're stuck, is it up here? Is it the mindset? Are you stuck because you're not doing personal development? Like, what is it, right? So first, figuring that out, and that answer might be different for everybody, and that's okay. But that's step number one to figuring it out. Is it that you're not recruiting enough coaches, right? Like, are you stuck in Emerald because you're not growing your team? Right? Are you stuck with not hitting Success Club because you're not sending enough follow-ups or showing up consistently on social media, right? Like, where is it that you're stuck? Okay. 5, calm the F down and stop being a control freak. It's not all about you. Now, I felt comfortable putting this because this was me. I feel like that. And this was also a really big area of why I was stuck between the years of 2016 and 2020. Okay, is because I was, and to a fault to this day still, but now I've realized that's where I was stuck and I've worked through that. And now I can call myself out and kind of course correct that I was a control freak. I was a control freak because I was scared to let my guard down as a leader. I was scared of leading. I was scared of leading because you can't control that. You can't control other people. I was scared of letting my guard down in my business to open up that window to raise up other leaders. And I will say that all the time because that's who I was. And that's where I realized I was really stuck because all my people felt like they were working for me. And that's not being a good leader. That's being a manager. And I don't want to be a manager. I don't want to just tell people what to do. I'm not their boss, right? I want to empower people. I don't want to enable them. Okay. I want to empower people to rise up. And what that takes is me taking a step back for a second and giving them space to rise up. It's not so much telling people what they're doing wrong. It's talking to them about where are they struggling, right? It's things like that. It's not telling them, hey, you go do this, this, and this, and this. It's finding out why they're afraid to do that, that, and that, and that, and why they're not doing it anyway. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. So I know that's like a really broad kind of subject, but for me, if you feel like you are a control freak, look up some PD for it, girlfriend, because that was the hugest thing. And it can be scary if you are a control freak. It can be really scary because for a minute, a couple times, like for example, having other like coaches who maybe just started out like leading my team call, that scared the crap out of me. Because like that's like my baby, right? But you know what it did? You know what? Remember I told you in the beginning how I was a coach for like 2 months and my superstar upline asked me to host her team call? Guess what? That's what gave me the confidence to actually become a leader in this business. So why am I holding people back from doing that? You know, so making sure that you're lifting people up to get on their own pedestal versus wanting to feel like you're on a pedestal yourself, right? So that's a big one, is making sure it's not all about you. 6. So I actually originally had this one. You're a big control freak. Yeah, see, it's scary, it's uncomfortable, but discomfort is good. So this was actually gonna be number 1 because it's, I think, the most important. So, but then I figured, we'll just end it with the bang being the last point, is stop only measuring your success based off of rank or numbers. Because when I think of 2016 to 2019-ish, 2020, like those 3.5, 4 years where I was stuck at Diamond or building my business by myself, all those kinds of stuff, guess what, guys? I was hitting Success Club every single month. I was in the process of recruiting and building up those people who are now my 8 diamonds on my team, right? That was all happening in those stuck months. My income was growing every single month, even though I was stuck. If I'm only looking at my rank, hell yeah, I'm gonna feel stuck. I'm gonna feel like I'm going nowhere. But if I'm looking at the actual growth that's happening, that's in the process, there is growth. So make sure you're not doing that. Make sure you're not just saying, oh my gosh, I've been the same rank for 1,000 years, I suck. Measure it in other ways too. Keep a book of wins, right? That's something I learned from the Rise Up Planner from Moira. She calls it the book of proof on the back. So get a notebook and make that your book of wins or your book of proof. And every time something positive happens, right? Maybe you had a great paycheck. Maybe you hit your highest Success Club numbers. Maybe one of your discount coaches wants to work the business. Maybe one of your coaches hit Success Club. Maybe somebody who you've been inviting for 2 years signed up, right? Those are all wins. Write all of that down all the time. So when you have those moments of feeling stuck, you go back and look at that and be like, no, if I would have given up, none of this stuff would have happened, right? So do that. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate others. Don't only focus on one area of growth. This isn't all or nothing growth. who was it? Was it Amy Silverman / Mashburn? If you guys, I'm sure know who she is, right? Was in the top 10 for like 9 years or 7 years, I don't know, something crazy like that. But she was actually, her highest rank was 8-star diamond. She was making millions of dollars. I think she hit $1 million in like 2013 or something crazy like that. 2016 maybe, I don't know. Hit $1 million back then. Was in top 10 for 7 years. Has like superstar diamonds in her downline. Like girlfriend's killing it. But she was only 8-star diamond coach. So if she was basing her success off the fact that she wasn't 15-star, like what? No. So then last year I was listening to a call that she was on, and last year she decided to go for 15-star. But guess what happened when she went for 15-star? For the first year ever, she wasn't in the top 10. Does that mean she sucks because she didn't get in the top 10? No, she just had a different focus and was measuring her success in a different way. And that there's so many different opportunities like that in this business, right? For a really long time, I was focused on rank alone. And then at my retreat this year, her name is Ellie Moore, spoke to my team. And she's been coaching as long as I have. Her highest rank is 5-star, and she's in the $1 million club. Guys, I'm very proud of myself, but I am nowhere near the $1 million club. You know what I mean? So like that was so inspirational to me. So I'm like, it's not all about that one rank. Like there's so many different areas to measure success and growth in this business. So don't just measure it off of where you feel like you're lacking or where you feel like you're stuck. Okay. That's a really, really, really big one. Okay. So success maps in this business are honestly laid out for you, right? Success Club Tracker, National Wake Up Call. You have amazing team calls with an incredible leader. It's our mindset or not leaning in that's keeping us from it. Or sometimes it's just freaking time. Sometimes it is just time. Sometimes it has to be consistency over time. If you have not listened to The Compound Effect, that was my very, very first personal development book. And to be honest, I feel like it's the reason I never quit, because my very first PD book was all about keep doing it over time, you will see success. Okay. So if you have not listened to that, oh my gosh, please. Yes, depth matters in what you do. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That was burning. Yes. So it could honestly just be time, you know? So lean into the stuff. The success is mapped out for you, okay? It's just what we have to fix up here, getting out of our comfort zone, and sometimes just being consistent over time. So here's some questions I would ask myself, right? If you feel like you're struggling or stuck, or we start going down this spiral. If anyone's like me, you guys, I'm a spiraler, okay? I'm very dramatic, and I will literally, like my husband, for example, like if we had a big bill or something like that, and our savings drops below what it typically is, I'm like, we're broke, we're gonna live in a box. I'm like, we're not gonna live in a box. But I'm like that, right? Or it's like, if I feel like I'm struggling, I'm like, oh my God, I should just quit. I should just go back to working full time. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm that kind of person. So if you're like me and you spiral a little bit, just take a step back, take a breather, and actually ask yourself these questions. If you're being mean to yourself and you're telling yourself, I suck, this isn't for me, I can't be as successful as these people, ask yourself these questions. Are you leaning in? Are you actually leaning in? Are you being a part of the team? Are you being a part of the community? Because guess what? You control that. You have all of the things at your fingertips. You have a leader who cares about you. You have a leader who hosts these things for you and gives you opportunities to lean in. You have other people on this team you can connect with, right? So 2, are you growing? And I don't mean like in business terms, I mean personally. Like, are you personally growing? Are you doing your personal development? Are you making personal growth a priority? Are you stepping out of your comfort zone consistently, old and new? And what I mean by old and new is I've had this realization, honestly, with myself and with a lot of my coaches on my team who have been on my team for 2+ years, right? Is in the beginning, and if you're a new coach, you'll resonate with this. In the beginning, oh my God, our comfort zones are like this freaking big, right? Like for me, so tiny, so teeny tiny, that everything is outside of our comfort zone. So you're on like a growth train and everything's exciting and everything's new and you were like kicking butt and you were feeling it. And then after a while, guess what? You just expanded your comfort zone. So now your comfort zone is so much bigger, but if you just stay within that new comfort zone, guess what? You're right back where you started. The world's just a little bit bigger. So now you have to reassess what is your current comfort zone and level up and step out of that next comfort zone, right? And I realized, like, for girls on my team, right? I have a couple star diamonds on my team. And for them, getting on or speaking on a team call or going live or making reels used to be like their biggest like comfort zone thing, and they're doing that all the time, so they feel like they're still stepping out of their comfort zone. But the thing is, all those things are comfortable to them now because they've grown to that stage. So now we have to figure out, all right, well, now what is outside of your comfort zone? What's the next level that makes you uncomfortable? Because the longer you stay in your current comfort zone, you guys, it gets mundane. It gets mundane. You lose the joy, you lose the fire, you lose the spark, and then you get bored. And if there is one momentum killer in this business, it is boredom. If you are bored, you're not going to be excited about what you're doing. If you are bored, your team is going to be bored. If you are bored, your challengers are going to be bored. Your challenge groups are going to be bored. If you are bored, your content is going to be boring, or it's going to be fake, which is really worse, right? So make sure you're consistently stepping out of your comfort zone. And again, that right now might be something like doing a reel or going live in the team page, right? Like I'm not talking, you got to jump from like 0 to Mount Everest right in here, but just figuring out what makes you uncomfortable, what kind of makes you want to throw up, and go do that. And then the last one is, are you surrounding yourself with people who are ahead of you and taking leaps? This is a really, really important one. You want to make sure you're surrounding yourself, or at least plugging into things that have people who are, I purposely didn't put doing better than you because that is such a relative term and I don't like it, but who are either, you know, where you want to be, or who have gotten to a level where you want to be at, or who are maybe just one step ahead of you, right? Like maybe you're really trying to hit Success Club and this girl like crushes it at Success Club. Like get in that circle, get in that chat, get on those calls, right? Like all that kind of stuff. Make sure you're getting that stuff in your ear, because if you are just surrounding yourself with people who are at your same level, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to level up, right? So now I want to change the verbiage a little bit. And I want you guys to ask yourself this. Am I leaning in? Am I growing? Am I stepping out of my comfort zone consistently, old and new? And am I surrounding myself with people who are ahead of me and taking leaps? And you know what, you guys? If your answer is no to any of these, that's a good thing. Because, I mean, at this moment, that's a good thing, because that means that you have an area to grow in. And that means, especially if you are someone who is feeling stuck anywhere in your business, it's good, because that means that if any of the answers to these are no, that's something to improve on, right? If you had no areas to improve on, you're at your ceiling. And again, that's boring, right? But I know for a fact, nobody is at their ceiling. Sometimes we just have to crash through our current ceiling and get to the next level, okay? That's all I got for you guys.
That's all I got. I love it. Oh my gosh. Too many gut checks for me right now, you guys. Way too many gut checks, but so stinking good. Guys, do you have questions in the chat that you want to drop for Larissa? I have one to start with. Talk to me about, you know, when your team last year was kind of bam, bam, bam into the leaders, you know, emerging one after the other. And you even seeing it now again this year, there's new leaders coming out of the woodwork. Can you talk to me about that process? Are these people who just, a light bulb goes off all of a sudden for them and you've just been kind of nurturing that seed all the time? Or are these push groups that you're running? Like, talk to me about how your leaders are getting the courage to just step out and go for it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna be totally transparent and honest with you guys. 2020 helped us a lot in this business. And I'm even kind of seeing, I'm again gonna be totally honest, I'm even kind of seeing the repercussions of that a little bit this year, because last year everyone was home, right? Last year, everyone was leaning into the community more, leaning into the things because they didn't have anything else to do. It was kind of like when my husband deployed, right? And I didn't sleep because I couldn't sleep. So I was up all night and leaned into my business, right? So in a way, I'm just gonna be honest, that helped. And that, like, now I'm seeing, like, right, we used to do like Saturday sip and sweats and stuff, and like the number has totally dropped because on Saturdays now, you know, everything's opening back up. People are doing things. We are still seeing growth and things like that, and it's still going well, but it is shifting a little bit from last year. So going back to 2020, most of my leaders that Pop Diamond and Star Diamond were coaches that signed up between 2017 and 2019. So they had already been on the team for a little bit. I have not mastered yet the popping of diamonds really quickly. And to be honest, I'm not upset about it because in my experience and what I've seen, when people go from here to here, a lot of times they don't stick around because then it gets hard. Right. Like that was my story, right? Like it took me a little bit to get my wheels turning and stuff like that. So I'd honestly rather it take a little bit longer. Like I'd like to like pump it up to like maybe like 6 months to a year instead of like 2 years, but it's fine. I'll be here in 2 years. It's fine. Because then they solidify that belief, right? They solidify those habits and things like that. So it was a combination of things. I think a lot of it is team energy. I bumped up my recognition like whoo, so much recognition. I remember in April of last year, because I've always treated my entire downline like they're my team. Like, and they are my team, but basically like they're my personally sponsored coaches, right? Like I don't care. Like I want energy and momentum team wide. Like I don't care if you're 17 levels deep, like you are on my team. And so I remember we barely ever had any coaches on the entire team who did Success Club. And so back then I used to do Success Club prizes from like Amazon for every single coach on my team who would hit Success Club. Most times it was like 4 or 5. And God, these freaking girls in April, I picked like a $13 Success Club prize and like 30 of them hit. And I was like, what? It's like, well, I'm like, okay, 350 bucks for prizes. But you know what, guys, it's worth it. But a big part of it is momentum. It's momentum, it's energy, it's recognition. A lot of my leaders are very recognition driven, which kind of helps. It's doing things as a team more, but it was just a combination of those things. Them stepping up as leaders, that was a really big one. We all started doing our personal development, which I didn't realize nobody else was doing consistently until last year. I didn't realize nobody else was doing consistent personal development. So we all really got serious about our PD, and all my girls, even now, who are kind of falling off, they're not doing the personal development anymore. They're not making it a priority. And that's why I'm such a psycho about it. And then 2, I really, my favorite leadership books that really helped me last year, I'm going to share with you guys. Okay. This one is Move Your Bus by Ron Clark. Easiest, quick little read ever. It's amazing. I tried reading it a couple years ago, but it just wasn't landing. And then I picked it up last year and I read it twice because it was so good. So if you do have a team, right, I would say like if you're almost a diamond or you're diamond and above level, this is a really good book in terms of especially becoming a control freak. Another one was, what's the Bob book called? Ride of a Lifetime. Sorry, I was asking my husband. Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. He was the Disney CEO. That was a really good leadership book. Dare to Lead was also a really good one. I'm a 2 on the Enneagram, so very emotional. So that one was really good. But I think those are my favorite leadership books that really helped me kind of shift and change the way that I led and that I was doing things. I still haven't been able to get into John Maxwell leadership books. Maybe one day. I'm just not there yet. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that answered, Brittany. It was all kind of
no, absolutely. And I think that what I love about what you just said, and I hope, ladies, that you heard what I heard, and if you didn't, I'm going to allow you to hear it the way I heard it, is she said that a lot of these coaches who were successful in 2020 were the ones that started in 2017 through 2019. Like they had a foundation that had been laid. And so if you're sitting here and you're like, man, I started 2 years ago, what's wrong with me? I'm not quote unquote there yet. Or I started X amount of years ago, I'm not quote unquote there yet. I hope this is refreshing to hear that foundation you've laid of belief in your team, belief in Beachbody, belief in yourself, and all the places where we can pour belief in, are then the thing that can catapult you to that next level to start then building a tribe of people and helping lead them to do the same. And a lot of these coaches, I will attest the same, Larissa, I feel the same way, that I have coaches who have shot out of the gate and been success starters, Success Club right out of the gate, diamond pretty quickly. And I'm not seeing a single one of them on this call, and I probably haven't heard from them in a hot minute, right? And so I think there is power in the slow and steady tortoise game in this business if you can mentally like get there, right? And not believe the lies that you should be there yet or whatever. So I love that you said that and didn't, you know, it wasn't like, oh, it was, you know, Susie signed up on July 1st, was down by August 2nd and boom, like, you know, because sometimes I feel like we see too much of that in the network. And so we start believing these lies.
I can't relate to that. Like Bonnie Engel was one of, like when I signed up, Bonnie Engel was like the chick. And she was the coach for like 2.5 years, like top 10, 15 star. Don't get me wrong. Like that was inspiring AF for me. And that's probably like some of the things that kept me running, right? Was like that inspiration of what's possible. It didn't become my story, but I don't regret that. I'm glad that inspired me to keep running. And the thing, it's so funny. Haley's on my team. She said the energy was fire AF that first half of 2020, which oddly enough is when she signed up. Okay. But oh my gosh, I was gonna say something, Brittany. You sparked something in me, and I cannot remember what it was. Shoot. Oh, I do have one girl. She's like an anomaly to me. Her name is Alexis. She signed up in July of 2019, and she just hit 2-star. And I struggle sometimes leading her because I can't relate. I'm like, when I was where you are, I'm like, girl, I was like just hitting diamond, like trying to get to 1-star. So like I encourage her the same way I just encourage you guys to like find people who are a little ahead of where you are. Cause I'm like, you're doing better than I did, you know, and that's okay. Like I'm so freaking pumped for her. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with like setting that foundation in the tortoise game, exactly like you said, because that's the biggest thing is the compound effect. Decide you're going to be here in 5 years. And I saw a question here. Leah said, do you see a lot of your challengers ready to join right away, or are they people who've been following you? So you have been following up with for a while. It depends on the person. It depends on the person, but like you hear all the time, fortune's in the follow-up, 100%. Very rarely do I have people who are just like, yeah, let's do it. You know, like it's very much a follow-up game. Like I said, I still have people who followed me for 5 years when I was pregnant, who were pregnant with me, still joining to this day. I had this girl, Liz, the one I was talking to about 645 yesterday, 5 years. 5 years we've talked. And I told her yesterday, I'm like, people like you are the reason I'm never going to stop. And because she's so excited and she's so pumped, she's like, these 5 years I've been following you, like this is like, I'm just so excited to finally get started. And like, how shitty would it have been if I stopped and now I'm not here to help her, you know? So you just got to decide you're going to be here.
So good.
Oh,
love it.
I remembered, I'm so sorry. But the girls who hit diamond last year are now, I have a 1-star, hold on, a 1-star and 2 2-stars, and they had just recently hit diamond. So it's that momentum that continues to build on year after year.
Yeah, and that pack, you said they're together, and so they see what's possible and they run together. I love that. So good. You guys, I'm going to hit stop on the record.